Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
nice to see so many familiar faces. Hi there. Welcome,
Welcome.
everyone.
Welcome. Okay, I see some people are getting connected to audio and video, and there's always those meeting stragglers who are going to come in, 5 minutes after we start. So yeah, while we're in this, transition phase of getting kicked off, I'll welcome you all. My name's Andrea Merriam, for those who don't know me, and I'm the Vice President of Community Engagement at PMD Alliance. And what we are doing today, like, could it be more community engagement? All of you either lead groups or are looking to start groups to engage with your community and help the people with movement disorders in your local area. And PMD Alliance is just so committed to want to support you and make your life easier. We want to connect you so you can meet others in your shoes. Um, since many of you have been to our events already, you might already know my lines, but I always love to say that this is such a unique group of people with things in common. We all either run or are about to run support groups for people with movement disorders. I mean, that's a small niche of people across the globe. So to be with folks, who are in the same journey, same experience, looking to achieve the same goals is pretty special. So today is the orientation session. The goals for today, we want to make sure that everyone joining the workshop has the technical skills and technical ability to be able to participate in the workshop. If we were in a meeting room somewhere, we wouldn't have to do this because we would just show up and everyone can, speak and move and interact with each other. But since we're translating to the digital world, we don't want to assume that folks know how to use Zoom, know how to ask questions, know how to manipulate the technology. And then the other thing that's different about meeting online is that we have to be a lot more intentional. If we were all in a room together, we would run into each other while getting coffee and say hi and smile at each other. Online, it's a different medium, so we kind of have to, uh, you know, uh, really put effort towards getting to know one another, feeling each other's energy, connecting with each other. So, right now, you could be in either speaker view or gallery view, for example. If you're in speaker view, you just see, maybe my giant face. But if you put it in gallery view, it's a completely different experience. You see all the boxes with all of the faces, and then you can scroll to page 2 and see even more faces. So, and then you can see Judge showing off, doing his smiley face, reaction emoji. So, that's the goal of today's session. I know it was listed as the mandatory orientation, which honestly, that's not the sexiest lead-in for getting people to join. So thank you all for joining, and that's what we're gonna kick off today and try to do is to gel as an online group and hope to evoke the vibe that we're all friendly in a room, in a ballroom, conference room somewhere, feeding off each other's energy, and then make sure that we all have the tools to be able to use Zoom, use this technology to replicate that in person experience. So I'll zip it and turn it over to Shannon Elliott, who most of you probably already, are BFFs with, our InSync network manager. So take it away, Shannon. You officially have the floor.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Andrea, for that great setup. So yes, I'm Shannon, and I run our InSync network, which is our network of support group leaders across the country. We have been shifting over to Zoom this past year during COVID, of course, and now we are hoping to begin our in-person workshops again, starting a little bit later this year. I just wanted to point out, we also have Rachel with us from our PMD Alliance staff. She's out in Arizona, as is Andrea, and I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I know that we have lots of folks joining us today from all over the country. Just wanted to give you a little bit of context. This is our national version of our InSync workshop for support group leaders. This past year, we have shifted, like I said, to online virtual workshops for specific communities. So we just had one in the Mid-Atlantic region. We had one in the Southeast. We had a special workshop for Northern California last year. So what we decided to do was to take that same curriculum that we've been providing to these various communities across the country, and then just open it up to the whole country as we wrap up what we're considering our 2020 curriculum. So later in this year, we're going to be coming up with new content to provide you all as support group leaders. So I thought, hey, why don't we just open it up to everybody, see who wants to join us. And I love that we've had nearly 50, I think 49 people have registered for this. So we have 30 today, which is great. And I just wanted to mention that of those 49 folks who registered, we have 19 states represented today. So I think that's pretty cool and exciting. And I just love the fact that it feels like a party in a way, because there are so many of you that we know and we see you on a consistent basis on our programs and our support groups online. And it just feels really great to have so many of you from across the country joining us for this particular InSync online workshop. So hopefully that sets us up pretty well. What I'd like to do, and I see that Sarah in Las Cruces has already done that, but if we can go ahead and rename ourselves. So as maybe a couple more people will be joining us, that's something that we can do is to type in our first name or what we'd like to be called, and then what city that we're in. So we can start to see where everyone's located, and you might have a neighbor that you didn't even know in this workshop. So I am in Santa Fe. You rename
I
yourself.
took the whole state because I wanted the alliteration. So I'm all of Arizona.
I like it. So if you don't know how to rename yourself, you hover your own mouse over your own image, and a little ellipsis menu pops up. You click on that ellipsis 3 dots button, a menu pops up from there, and then you look for the word rename, and then that's where you can enter your first name and the city in which you live. Okay, excellent. Thanks so much for doing that for us. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. We have some PowerPoint slides to share with you today as we work through our orientation. So let me get that going. All righty. Everyone can see that, hopefully. All righty. Okay, so welcome. Of course, we've already discussed what this orientation is all about, learning and practicing the features of Zoom that some of us might not be as familiar with. We are going to be going into breakout rooms today. So if you have not done that on Zoom, that's a fun little feature. That's something you can do in your own support groups if you're meeting on Zoom. And it just allows for more sharing, greater communication. We'll talk about the various goals for the workshop that's taking place next week. We have 3 sessions, one Tuesday, one Wednesday, one Thursday, different content on each of those days. And then we will talk about what we're covering next week, as well as the pre-workshop checklist, things that we'd like you to take care of during this week between the orientation and the workshop sessions. Let me see if I can move this around. There we go. Okay. All right. So Collaboration agreements. All right. So this is a slide that points out some of the expectations that we have of all of us as we participate in this workshop together. So it's how we all agree to approach our interactions with one another and make sure it's a respectful and productive session, and to get everybody on the same page. So you might, in your support groups, you might have a little list of rules, of ground rules that you like to have everyone abide by, just to make sure everyone understands the boundaries. So this is that version. We're just calling it collaboration agreements, a little bit fancier than ground rules. So the first one is muting your mic when necessary. I think we're all pretty familiar with that mute button. So sometimes we have background noise. We just want to prevent that from causing any distraction during our workshop. But of course, this is an open discussion. We like to have your participation. So if you ever have something to say, feel free to unmute yourself and let us know that you'd like to contribute. Listening deeply. So this is just a reminder, and as support group leaders, we're pretty good at this already, but as we get into our discussions and our breakout rooms, just to remember to listen to one another deeply, and also saying yes. And I love this rule in improv acting. So you're always building on other people's ideas and saying, yes, I hear you. And I have this idea as well. So it's continuing that positive interaction with one another. Moving with intention. So we will find, especially with a large group that we have, that time goes very quickly. Just to keep in mind the pacing of things. And if we ask you to have a limited response, we give you 30 seconds to do something, just to try to remember to stick with that so that we can have everyone participate. And then finally, being patient with technology. So this is important as we're working on this online Zoom platform. Crazy things can happen. I apologize in advance as the operator of Zoom. So if something does happen, just laugh with us and click that rejoin button if necessary, whatever needs to happen to get us back into the room together. And I also wanted to mention that you all might be using different kinds of devices to log into our workshop sessions. We've requested or suggested that you have a desktop or a laptop computer, because it has a different functionality than if you're working on a tablet per se, or like a smartphone. So just to acknowledge that the functionality is going to be different on some of these other kinds of devices. Now, we invite you, Rachel here, she's a wonderful support. And so if you have any specific questions, if something isn't working for you on your particular device that's different from a regular computer, you can go ahead and chat her privately and ask for a little bit of direction and guidance on that. We also have this week, between today and next week, if you have any concerns, questions about your device and how to utilize that with Zoom, you can let me know and we can take that offline so it just doesn't take up too much time during our meeting. So hopefully everyone is okay with that. And I am going to stop sharing my screen so I can see your faces. It's really challenging when you're sharing slides. Sometimes you can't really get a sense of what's going on in the room. Okay, now I see you all again. Wonderful. I just want to make sure to go over a few of the Zoom housekeeping items to make sure that we all know how to use these features. So the mute button, for instance, on most of your devices will be on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, your Zoom window, and it looks like a microphone. So you can mute and unmute yourself from there. Right next to that is a little video camera, so you can stop your video, which would look like this. So I have just stopped my video if I needed a moment of privacy. If I needed to go just step away from my computer for a moment, go ahead and feel free during today's orientation, next week's workshop. If you need a moment to yourself, just go ahead and feel free to stop your video and do what you need to do. Gallery versus speaker view. Andrea mentioned already, hopefully you're seeing everyone's faces like the Brady Bunch screen, which really allows to that group feel instead of just staring at one person's face in the speaker view. Does everyone know where the chat box is? So at the bottom of your Zoom window, there should be a little conversation bubble. If you click on that, a white pane shows up on the right-hand side of your screen, and that is your chat box. So thank you, Rachel. She just said, welcome everyone. And so at the very bottom of that chat screen or that chat pane, it says type message here, and there's a little cursor. So that is where you type your message, you hit enter, and then it will go to the everyone's chat box. So we can utilize this chat box. Say you're a little bit more of an introvert and you don't prefer to voice your comments verbally, maybe, but you would like to contribute in some way, that chat box is perfect for that reason. And just again, as we go through this workshop, keep in mind what we as staff are, what we're modeling with you as participants in this workshop. And these are the exact same things that you can do and take with you to your own groups. Okay, so it's this meta kind of situation. We're a support group right now for support group leaders. So any of these skills, these little tricks of the trade, go ahead and feel free and take them to your group as well. I'd also invite you to have pen and paper with you. That'll come in handy when we go into our breakout rooms and we interview our partners. And so you can take notes if necessary. And some people, again, with different learning modalities, they learn best when they're doodling, when they're taking notes, they're writing. So go ahead and feel free and use what you need to make this a very productive workshop for yourself. All righty, is everyone doing okay? Can I see a thumbs up if everyone's good? This is a nice little trick that you can get a very quick visual. And oh, thank you. Yes, so Nancy and Laura have used their reactions. So that's another feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you see the reactions, little smiley face, you click on that. And it gives you a few options of ways that you can communicate something. So I just put my little laughter face up into the corner of my image. So that's a fun little way to express something without lots of distraction of audio. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. I am going to start sharing my PowerPoint again, if we're all okay. All righty. Here we go. All righty, so in sync, the in sync workshop, what does that even mean? Why do we use those words in sync? Okay, so there are actually many ways that we can be in sync. The first way is to be in sync with your peers. So that's the support group leaders here with you on this workshop. We can also be in sync with our group members who look to us for support and for reliable information. We can be in sync with the larger movement disorder community, where we can find resources and create connections both nationally and internationally. We can be in sync with our loved ones who are sharing this journey of living with a movement disorder with us. And then last, but certainly not least, you can be in sync with yourselves, having that confidence and self-assurance that you are embodying your role as a support group leader in the very best way that you can with your special abilities and unique talents. Okay, so again, we just want to welcome you to this workshop. Thank you so much for coming and for joining us. We have a very unique group of leaders with us today from across the country. So we're just really hoping that you can gain some new skills and some training to help grow and sustain your support group in your local community. All right, so why don't we, I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. And what I'd like to do, some of you know me just through our interactions at PMD Alliance in our programming, but some of you may not be familiar with my background. So just a little warning, I am from the dance world. I have been teaching dance for PD for the last couple of years, and that's how I got engaged in the first place with the Parkinson's and the movement disorder community. And so I like to integrate movement into workshops, both that we have in person and then also online. So today I'd like to demonstrate as a group together how we can be not only in sync in our minds, in our hearts, but also in our bodies. Okay, so I would like us all to participate in this little exercise. So I am going to spotlight myself. And so this is a good function for you to know is available. So if you want to force a speaker view on someone in who might be a guest presenter or something like that, or you might have a panel, a small panel of people, you have the ability to force that speaker view for your entire group. And so that way they can be seen more clearly and they're not just a little tiny box on the screen. So I am going to lead a little exercise that we call mirroring, and I would love you to participate. So I am just going to move my chair back away from the computer and the table just a little bit. So I just have a little bit of freedom in my arms. And what I would love you to do is do the same. All right, so mirroring, as if I'm looking into a mirror and the person that I see in front of me, it's like my reflection. And so what I'm gonna do is move quite slowly so that you can follow me, but I want you to really intentionally follow what I'm doing. I'm not gonna use any words. This is completely just a visual and physical exercise, and then we'll get a feel for that, okay? So as we begin, just feeling that length in your spine, take a deep breath. Feeling nice and present and following along. Mirroring my every move. Lovely. I only saw about 5 people at the top of my screen there, but you're following really well. Thank you. Now I'd like to give somebody else, I'm going to remove my spotlight, and I want to see the entire group again. And once a spotlight is created for a Zoom call, everyone who is on this call needs to physically click on the gallery button in order to go back to that Brady Brunch screen. All right. Do we have a brave volunteer who would like to lead us in a little bit of mirroring? Have a little bit of fun with that. I know. So, oh, I see Roger. Wonderful. Cool. I am going to spotlight Roger now. So he's large on our screen and we can follow his movement. Here we go. And Yay. Thank you, Roger. That was great. I really like the hair slick. That was a new one. Yes. Thank you. Good job. Okay, I am going to remove his spotlight. I would like one more volunteer. Let's get someone else to lead this movement. Anyone else nice and brave? We can all do this. You don't even have to be a dancer. We all make many different gestures throughout our day. I saw that Kai in Hawaii, which is pretty amazing that you're in Hawaii, that you had a little thumbs up there. Would you mind if I picked on you and you would lead our movement for us?
Sure.
Yay. Thank you, Kai. I'm going to spotlight Kai. And what I do, answering Hazeline, is that I hover over Kai's image. I click on the three dots, and as the host in that menu, there's an option to spotlight for everyone. All right, here we go. Ms. Kai, we're watching you. Surf's up. Yay. Thank you, Kai. Great job. I love the special location that you're in and that little nod that you gave to Hawaii. Wonderful. Are you a surfer?
I used to be.
You used to be? Oh man, that must be amazing. Those waves out there. I've never been to Hawaii, but that's on my list for sure. Thank you for leading that. Okay, so go ahead and hit gallery view so we can see everyone. I just wanted to get a little bit of feedback from you. How did that feel? What did you experience when you were following someone's movement? Can you share any reflections with us on that? Yes, Perry, can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
It made a concentrator out of me. I really had to concentrate on the person I was looking at. And if they were speaking, I would be looking at the words they were forming, a little more understanding when you're really concentrating on it.
Great point, concentration. That's a big one for mirroring. This is an exercise, by the way, that is utilized a lot in dance therapy and helping to connect either two people or a group of people. But it's something that I believe that we can use with our groups, not only online like we are right now, but in person. Does anyone else have any feedback for how they experienced that? Was it difficult? Was it interesting? Candace in looks like Springfield. I see your hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
In the midst of it, I felt like I was part of a team.
Oh, I love that.
We're all in unity, as it were.
Unity, unison. That's wonderful. Great reflection, Candace. And then Kai, I think I saw your little hand.
It just brought a smile to my face.
Good. It's different, isn't it? Communication through the body and the facial expressions, which is actually 93% of communication is those two things, as opposed to the actual words people say, which is only 7% of communication. It's incredible. So thank you
Speaking of making people smile, Sheila in Tucson chatted that it reminded her of I Love Lucy. So I agree.
The over-exaggerated faces help too, don't they? The mirror scene with, oh, I've seen that photograph. I've not seen that that episode actually with Harpo Marx, but I've seen a picture of them mirroring each other and in the same outfit. So it's pretty cute.
And I think,
right.
I don't know any of you who have had meetings with, post-COVID or I don't know if we're post, but when people wear the masks, and many of you, your groups perhaps have moved outside, so then people have hats and sunglasses on. So I love mirroring in these, unprecedented times that we're going to have to do a lot more to connect with people. It's going to be hard to see their facial expressions with a mask on, harder to hear them sometimes. So yeah, so great to put our bodies into the mix more.
Absolutely. And I am going to begin sharing my screen
Oh,
again.
Judd was raising his hand real quick.
Oh, great. Okay.
Just one more thing, which is if you're Zooming all day or you're going to an in-person meeting with people with Parkinson's, we weren't meeting for very long before you moved around, but it's important to move around. If you're going to have an hour and a half meeting, I hope you have a movement break somewhere in the middle of it.
Great point. And this mirroring exercise is something that any one of you can lead because it doesn't require having choreography or any particular exercises memorized ahead of time. It's all in the moment. And you can break people up into partners with one another. You can have everyone in a circle and then go around the circle and have people take turns leading. So there are many ways you can utilize this as a little movement break. That's a great point, Judd. Wonderful. I'm going to share my screen again and then show you some of the benefits of mirroring, just to underscore what we've already talked about. So building presence and awareness of nonverbal cues, which is super important in communication and connection. Enhancing emotional understanding and empathy for others. So Perry mentioned he's really having to concentrate and look deeply at that person he was emulating. It encourages cooperation with one another or within a group. It's that team feeling that Candace brought up, concentration that Perry mentioned, imagination. So there's this aspect of creativity. So if someone is in charge of leading the movement, it's coming out of creativity, right? And that's imagination, using a different part of the brain. And then using both sides of the brain while engaging the body, which we realize as movement disorder support group leaders, that's super important for our folks to be engaging in and doing as an exercise. All right, so hopefully that was fun, something you can take with you. I am going to continue on. And so this is where Andrea can talk a little bit about PMD Alliance as an organization. I think most of you are familiar with us. I'm not sure if everyone is.
Thank you, Shannon. So yeah, if you could actually pull up the next slide, because I think that our ecosystem, I mean, we are demonstrating the importance of the ecosystem by gathering here today. So PMD Alliance, there's a lot of Parkinson's organizations, movement disorder organizations. If you, zoom out even farther, we're blessed that there are a lot of nonprofits and foundations providing education and services. So what is it about PMD Alliance that makes us different? Why are we in the mix? We think what we add is a systems approach. We focus on the entire ecosystem, which is what we call it. There's a lot of words and discussion using different terms, but we chose to describe it as an ecosystem, a unit of multiple networks at the center of which is a person with a movement disorder. Our goal at PMD Alliance is to make sure that each network is functioning well and also communicating with the other networks. When this entire system is operating on all cylinders, then that person in the middle, the person with the movement disorder, is so much better served. So today, all of you support group leaders, represent the community network. And yes, you need your movement disorder specialist, and you need your clinical team, but that's not enough to live well. We need peers. We're humans. We need social connection. There's the wisdom of the folks in this digital room. I would argue is greater than any one medically trained neurologist. The experiences that all of you have are just so valuable, and PMD Alliance thinks it's crucial what you do and people to be able to have support groups to go to is just essential to living well with the disease. This ecosystem is kind of our North Star. It's what PMD Alliance looks back to as we decide what kind of programs to invest in, what kind of resources to create. And the InSync programs, this online workshop, our in-person InSync programs, our InSync newsletter, we want to be able to buttress all of the work that you do and make sure that you can continue to reach the folks in your groups. Thanks, Shannon.
Yes, great. Okay, so from here, I would like us to participate in a poll. And there are a few reasons why we like to conduct polls at the beginnings of our workshops. And firstly, it's a way for us to gather information about you. Where are you coming from? What are your groups like? And what is it that you're interested to learn? And then secondly, it's a way for you as attendees to be able to get to know one another better. Like, who is in the room with you? Do you have someone who is a leader of a similar type of group to you? Maybe, it's really large and it's a general group in Florida. So just happening to know that that person exists and you can connect with them later. That's what we want you to do, is to create these connections with one another. And then finally, it's just a way for you to practice another feature on Zoom and get to know the various functions that are offered. So I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint here. And then as a host, I have the ability to pull up the poll. And that's something that I have created in advance. And I've done that from the back end of Zoom. So I go to zoom.us and I log in, and I've created this this poll ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to launch this 4-question poll. And so hopefully you can see it on your screen right now. We have, like I said, 4 questions. The first one being about the size of your group. And so we help to clarify this. So we just ask how many are on your mailing list. We understand that because of Zoom and because of COVID, and then sometimes you have in-person meetings, you'll have different numbers of people show up to different meetings. And so if you just let us know how many people are on your mailing list, that helps us to understand the different kinds of groups we have represented today. And then we're asking how long your group has been in existence. So it's either new, it's in the middle there from 1 to 5 years. We've got 6 to 20 years, and then some groups might be even older than that. And then lastly, this is the third question. Why are you here? What are you wanting to learn? Various options there. And then lastly is your plans. What are your plans in regards to reconvening your group meetings in person? Is everyone able to work this poll okay? Yeah, you'll have to answer each of those questions before you can submit. It looks like we have almost a third of the people who have responded. And then Andrea, I don't know if you would like to kind of respond to what we're seeing as far as trends in our group today.
Sure. And just so you know, you might have to scroll down to get to those third and fourth questions. So wow, we have 7 people who are pretty tenured in one group that's been around for more than 20 years. So that's always good as the facilitators to know, so we can call on the experts. And a great variety of what people are looking to learn. a lot of other. So excited to hear what other. And then isn't this the $1 million question is what to do when it comes to COVID? Are we in person? Are we at home? Are we hybrid? Are we waiting to decide? So it looks like there's a smattering of multiple responses there. And I see we're at 29 out of 30. Um, so let's go ahead and close it out
Mhm.
and share. And whoever that 30th person is, remember that be patient with technology. Opener. If ever anyone feels like they didn't get a chance to share their voice, there's the chat, or you can unmute and say what you weren't able to use the Zoom tools to.
Let's see. Keith in Dallas has asked, will we be polling members to find out comfort for meeting in, that you will be. So Keith, you're using this polling function in order to survey your group members to see what they're comfortable to do in the future. That's a great idea. Yes. Wonderful. Okay. I'm interested to know who's been in existence longer than 20 years. Can you just raise your hand next to your Judd? Wonderful. Excellent.
We'll be
Okay.
assigning you a 20-minute presentation as the resident expert.
We love the fact that there's so much to share amongst you and lots of knowledge and years of experience. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this poll. And it is time to move forward to our breakout rooms, which is exciting. So breakout rooms, I just spoke about briefly at the beginning of today's orientation, but it's a way for you to break up your larger group into smaller groups or partners to enable more sharing and deeper connection with one another. In a large group like this, it's impossible to have everybody speak. And so this way we are forcing the matter a bit, but that's what we want in our support groups, is to have people interact and talk and connect. So today we're going to be creating partners, one-on-one. And this is going to be automatically selected by Zoom. So it's the breakout room roulette situation. We don't know who you're going to be put with as a partner until it happens. So that's exciting. And with this function, you're going to automatically be sent over to your small group room with your partner. So don't be alarmed if that happens without you clicking any buttons. It just happens automatically. And this is important for you to let people know. And I'm not sure where that's coming from. We're getting a little bit of background noise. I don't know if you hear it on your end.
Earl, I'm going to mute you. And I had this happen once in another meeting. I was muted and I felt kind of like insulted by it. So I just wanted to mention that if we ever mute you, it's, maybe because there's background noise or something like that. And that doesn't mean we don't want to hear you speak. We're just trying to get rid of that vacuum or that barking dog.
And that's a perfect point, something I wanted to just express, how Andrea said that she was muted before in another meeting and it felt a little bit like it's just someone's doing that to her. It's almost like you don't have any control. And so the reason I want to bring that up in this scenario with breakout rooms is that it's helpful to warn your group members what's going to happen. Like, you are going to be sent to your room automatically. Don't fret, kind of thing. And that prevents what we call breakout room whiplash. It's like this being shoved here and there and being zoomed to all different kinds of spaces and places. So this is just a little warning. So when you get to your breakout room, make sure you have your pen and paper ready, and you're going to ask your partners a few questions. And these are the things that we want you to talk to one another about. Where is your support group located? And what kind of group is it? So what kind of a group is it? That could be, I have a general group, everyone's invited, or I have a care partner specific group, or I run an essential tremor group, etc. How long have you been a leader, or are you a leader in training? And then thirdly, what is your primary hope or fear regarding your role as a support group leader? All right. So what I'm going to do as the host is I have the capability to copy and then paste in the chat these questions. And that way, once everyone is in their breakout rooms, that's already going to be in the chat for you. So you don't have to write down those questions, but it's important that you do that as the host prior to sending people out to their breakout rooms. All righty, hopefully that's clear. And so I'm going to give you about 4 minutes per person to talk. I'll give you a halfway notice. I'll send you a little electronic banner notice in your room when it's halfway through, and then you'll get a 30-second warning before automatically being brought back to the main group. All right. And then once we're in the main group, we're going to go around the virtual room here. You're going to share your partner's name, where they have their group located, and then that person's hope or fear in regards to being a support group leader. And so you have about 30 seconds. It's quick. This is going to be lightning round. 30 seconds to do that. We're going to put you and your partner in the spotlight, and you're going to introduce each other, and then we'll move on to the next group. Hopefully that is clear. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see your faces. Is everyone good with these instructions? Yes. Perfect. Okay, so this is the moment where I ask Andrea to give me a little time, because as the host, I have to do all the back end stuff, and it takes me just a couple of minutes to organize it all.
Well, now they know I'm going to be tap dancing to stall. Sarah and Las Cruces, were you raising your hand, or you were giving a you understand wave?
No, I had a question. I was writing and I missed, how do we get a partner?
We're going to assign you, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
you will
Okay.
be beamed into a breakout room with Zoom randomly will assign those people. And I know that Frank in Phoenix sent me a message that his camera isn't working. And Mary Jane in Texas said that she's in the car. So whoever gets partnered up with them, just know it's not you. It's not that they don't want to show you their face. That they let us know that is already an issue.
May I ask one thing in regards to that, Andrea?
Yeah.
So Mary Jane, you're in the car. Are you able to participate in this, or should I put you in a room with 2 other people? And that way you can still remain in the call, but you don't have to necessarily participate. So if she could let us know that, that would be amazing.
And then if she does it, maybe that's a sign to put her in that 3-person room.
Exactly. And can you remind me, Andrea, the first person you mentioned?
Frank said his video isn't working, but he's here, and right, Frank, you're here and participating. Just you broke your camera. Isn't there a joke about that?
Okay, so I'm going to assume Frank is, if you can unmute yourself, Frank, and at least let us know that you're able to talk and communicate with your partner, that'd be helpful.
Hi, Frank. I see you unmuted. Ooh, maybe your audio isn't working either.
Okay, that's unfortunate. Frank, well, we see you're unmuted, but we can't hear or see you. So I'm going to put you into a room with 2 other people. All right, so you can still keep participating, even if we can't hear from you today. All right, thumbs up, awesome. Okay, so
Like
it's
that
just
meme that Zoom meetings are like seances. There, spirits.
Okay. There's a lot of fixing I have to do here. I apologize, everyone.
Or Frank or anyone else, if you have a webcam attached to your computer and the webcam is not working, you sometimes can get it to work by clicking the microphone button and picking a different input device or camera if you have more than one.
Good tip. Or you can also dial in. So Frank sent me a private message that his internet is also saying it's unstable. You can also dial in by phone, which do you guys know this trick? The caret next to the mute button, if you click that little up arrow caret, then there's in that menu, like 2/3 of the way down, there's switch to phone audio. And if you click on that, it pops up a screen that gives you the phone number, the meeting ID, and the participant ID. And you'll go into an automated system and you enter all of that in Zoom. And then Zoom matches up your audio from your phone with your video. So for those of you who sometimes when a speaker is having internet problems, you can have them split it up so their computer or their Wi-Fi is only handling one portion, and then their phone can pick up the audio portion. So we'll see if that helps out Frank. And what do you think, Shannon? Is that enough tap dancing?
Yes, that was perfect. Okay, I am ready to send everybody to their rooms. And I'll send you a halfway notice at 4 minutes in. Have fun talking with your partner and take notes. Okay, here we go, everybody.
Uh-oh. Andrea and I both left the room at the same time. What,
Woo.
that must be a cluster with all the people.
Yeah, it is a cluster. And then the people who have the tech.
Welcome back, everyone. You made it. Well, I won't speak too soon.
Slowly but surely, you're making your way back.
Mhm.
Here we go.
There we are. Welcome back, everybody. You made it all in one piece.
Yay.
Woo. Okay, so this is going to be our lightning round introductions. So we will spotlight the 2 or sometimes 3 people that we had in one Zoom room, and you'll take 30 seconds, only 30 seconds a piece. So just the quick bullet points, and then we'll move on just because we only have 25 minutes of our orientation left. Okay, so our first group that we have is Earl, Judy, and Mary Jane. So you can start by unmuting yourselves and we will work on the spotlighting. If we could have Earl speak first. And let's see, so do we also have Judy? There we go. Yep, there we are. And Judy, she's waving her hand.
Mary Jane.
There she is. Yes, she's able to add her
Is
video.
it Judy from Palm Desert, Judy? Because we do have 2 Judys.
Yes, I think so.
Oh, perfect.
There we go.
No relation.
So Earl, hello. Can you please introduce your partner, please?
Yes, I'm going to introduce Judy. She's from Galveston, California. She's been working with her group for about 15 years. Quite a variety of different groups that she works with, people with Parkinson's, care partners, and others. What did I forget here? Well, her primary fear is what is going to happen when her group returns. It's going to be
in person again?
Person, yes.
All right, that was perfect. That was 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a good listener.
All right, Judy.
Oh, Earl's from Chula Vista, which is a suburb of the San Diego area. And he's characterized himself as a lieutenant for his support group leader. And he's only been at this for about 1.5 years. And very interestingly, I asked him how he got started on this gig. And he said he couldn't remember, which, so it must have been a lot of good reasons, maybe a whole bunch of things. And I'm trying to remember your fear, and I'm falling short on that. Earl.
Okay, it's really, I don't feel I have the knowledge to really do a good job as a leader.
Well, that's why I forgot. I didn't believe you.
It was a lie.
Earl did say something that he does help people help to get on and navigate the Zoom. So it
Wonderful.
evidently is some technical expertise.
Yes, yes, we all have our strong points and our strong suits that we can bring to the team. Wonderful. Thank you. Mary Jane, are you available just to say hey?
Hello, hello. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. So just like a quick intro of yourself, that would be great.
Okay. It was so nice to meet Earl and Judy online. I am driving. I'm actually between meetings and then picking up my husband real quick for a doctor's appointment. But I'm Mary Jane Berry from Georgetown, Texas. I've been a support group leader for 10 years. Our group not only is like a overall support group, but we also have a caregivers group. We also have a DBS group. We also have 3 exercise classes, and we immediately went to Zoom with all this. And my biggest fear, I've been doing it for 10 years, and is that who'll take it over whenever I am not able to, but who's to say? I mean, my husband's ready for me to let it go, but at the same time, you know, I don't know what will happen with this group, and I want to keep it going. I've got almost 1,200 members, online members, and there's just a lot going on, but we are destined to do hybrid in August. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Wow, 1,200 members. Okay. We are going to remove spotlights from these 3 folks and then move to Keith in Dallas and Kyoko in Pennsylvania, it looks like.
All right.
Keith.
Hey.
I love the beard.
Thank you. Can't grow it up here, but got this. I was partnered with Kyoko, who's in Malvern, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. She's a physical therapist and works with people with Parkinson's. She currently does not have a group, but is looking to be a resource, possibly do a group, which is kind of her goal here, and possibly be a bridge between people who might have an issue, a difficulty in terms of language or cultural barriers.
Excellent. That's great. Welcome, Kyoko. Thank you. Thank you, Keith. All right, switcheroo.
Okay, so it was a pleasure meeting Keith. And Keith has a group in Dallas, Texas. And how he got involved in the group was because his husband has Parkinson's disease, and he and him got involved in the group, and mainly his group is for young onset Parkinson's disease. But and also he's planning to have meetings for caregivers also. And that group has been there for, he thinks 6 years to 20 years, but he has been the leader for about 3 to 4 years. And his hope is to make the group more structural, because he thinks it's more informal now, and he's hoping for that. And his fear at this point is since he doesn't have the Parkinson's disease, so his fear is to overstepping the boundaries or of the people with Parkinson's disease. I hope I'm
Yes.
saying.
Thank you. Understand. Yes. Wow. Thank you so much to both of you. Welcome. We are going to move to Beth in Danville and Laura in Florida, please. Go ahead and unmute yourselves. That's excellent.
So
right there's Beth, and then Laura, we're just going to try to get you on spotlight here. There we go. Who would like to start? Laura, would you like to begin?
Well, Beth Danville is in California. She's in the Bay Area. And she's been less than a year with these groups. She actually has 2. They formed around COVID. and she was chosen as a leader by default because she has the know-how. And it's casual groups. She thinks she's a leader in training. She's doing great. Both groups one has less than 10 people, the other has less than 15. One started around ladies who participated in rock steady boxing and then went on to this Zoom group. And the other one, it was very interesting around an improv.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes. So they branched into this support group. And it's great. I learned that improv is about communicating and even discovery, even self-discovery. There are people from Texas, Europe. It's very, very international.
Wow. I'd love to hear more about that, Beth, your improv group there. Thank you so much for that intro, Laura. Beth, can you reciprocate?
Laura is from Florida, Newport, Florida. She started her support group about 5 years ago. The reason she started was there was nothing in her area. They started off as an exercise group, but then they still do exercise, but they also morphed into more of a support group. They meet on Monday and Wednesdays from Tuesday at 2:30 to 4:30. She had about 20 members, but it's down to 10 due to COVID. Her husband helps her out. He's a natural born leader and everybody likes him. The University of Florida refers people in her area to her group, which I thought was, wow, that's a pretty big deal. And her hope is that her group continues strong. And her greatest fear is when she loses somebody from death or they walk away because of COVID.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much, Beth. And Laura, we will remove your spotlights and we're going to move to the next two folks. We've got Barbara Nealon and Jim in Colorado. There's Barbara. Hello. And there's Jim in his car. Okay, Barbara, since you're unmuted, would you like to go ahead and introduce Jim?
Sure thing. Jim is on the road, but he assured me he's in the back seat, so there's not to worry. He's a group in Colorado, and one of the problems with his group is that they meet in a library that really hasn't opened up again because of COVID. So it's been restricting them to some degree. He's been the leader for about 2 years, the group. And his group is for people with essential tremors, all the way from folks who might have just a mild case and haven't even been diagnosed yet, to people like himself who have had DBS for essential tremors. And he said his biggest hope, tied to his biggest fear, the same as mine, is getting speakers and getting subject matter that people would be interested in. It's always nice to have that, but then your biggest fear is, that you won't have that, and it's sometimes hard to get people to come to speak.
To coordinate that, right. Great, thank you so much, Barbara. Okay, Jim.
All right, I met with Barbara from Newland, and she's from Atlanta out there, and she's a group leader for Parkinson's about 2 years now, and outside speakers is her fear and hope.
Right, getting that info, but then it's a nightmare logistically sometimes, isn't it? We will definitely address these issues and some of the others that the previous attendees have mentioned next week. So welcome to both of you. Okay, let's move to Hazeline and Ken and Sue, who are also essential tremor group leaders, which is good for you to know, Jim. There's Hazeline and Ken and Sue Taylor. There they are. Hazeline, since you are unmuted, would you do the honors and start off?
Absolutely. So I had the great pleasure of speaking with Ken and Sue Taylor. So I'm introducing them. They are from Lady Lake, Florida, and they are essential trimmer support group leaders. They've been support group leaders for 8 years. Their group has been in existence for about 15 years. And if I understood Ken correctly, he became a support group leader after the individual who was previously there left because she found out that she didn't actually have essential tremor, that her tremor was medication induced. And when she stopped taking the medication, her tremors went away. So they needed a new leader, and he took the baton, so to speak. His greatest fear is that when things get back to normal and they start having in-person meetings, that one of their members will get contract COVID because of the meeting. And their greatest hope is that
mysterious notes.
Yeah, I'm trying to read my writing. We hope that everyone that comes receives the support that they need. I think that's what they shared with me. But it was a great pleasure talking with them.
Great, thank you so much for that. All right, Ken and Sue.
Hazeline has been doing this for about 2 years, and that's only because she started it 2 years ago. So she is the originator and the founder and the leader and all of those good things wrapped into one. She's located in Maryland. Didn't find out exactly, but I assume it's somewhere in the vicinity of Baltimore. The greatest fear that she has is that maybe she's not able to meet or connect with the members' emotional needs, and we missed her hope. Primary hope, no, we missed that.
No problem. Yes, that's actually perfect. So thank you all so much for those intros. And we're going to move to the next group, which will be Lauren Simmons in Mission Viejo, and then Rick in Vacaville. There's Miss Lauren. Would you like to go ahead and start introducing Rick, and then we'll get him spotlighted?
Sure. Rick is in Vacaville, which is Northern California, around the San Francisco area. His support group, it's pretty large, I think around 40 members or so, general group, care partners, and people with Parkinson's, although they split off the care partners from the regular group once a quarter or so. They have not been meeting virtually, but they're hoping to do so as soon as things start to open up in California. And biggest hope, we're kind of similar on this, is to give hope to others in the group and to educate them about Parkinson's.
Excellent. Thank you, Lauren. All right, Rick.
Hi, my partner was Lauren, and she's from Mission Viejo, California, down in Southern California. And she's been the leader of that Parkinson's group for a while, but one of the things she brought up was a good point. She got kind of busy and was able to get a committee of people involved with running that support group and help her. And that's a great idea, getting more people involved. Her plate was kind of full there, so she's got a life to live. So it was great that she was able to do that. And when we were talking about what our greatest hopes and fears were, I'm stumbling all over my words, not knowing where to go. And Lauren put it right out there in good words that her greatest hope was to give everybody in the group hope. And she made a point that when she first was diagnosed with Parkinson's, how the doctor was a little bit negative, saying that, this is the best you're ever going to feel. Well, she didn't buy that. She wanted to get out there and do the things she needed to do to feel better and have everybody else in the group feel better. And that's kind of where I went to with that. She gave me something to jump on right there with that. And one of her greatest fears then sometimes, as we all run into in our groups, is dealing with difficult people. Or I had to laugh a little when she said she had a member that wanted to give unsolicited medical advice. It's like, okay, yeah, great. Hold your medical advice. But
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So boundaries, that's a thing, isn't it? With support group leadership. Yeah. And we'll address that. Thank you both. And thanks for the inspiration going around within that little duo there. Excellent. Let's move to, let's see who's next. Nancy in San Diego and Sarah in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
So you guys know, so it's all alphabetical, and then right when I go to unmute people, or right when I go to spotlight, then if you unmute yourself, it moves. So that's what I swear that I am a I am a capable spotlighter. I wanted to demonstrate behind the scenes what's happening. Here you all go. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, Nancy, would you like to start by introducing Sarah, please?
Sure, happy to. Sarah is from Las Cruces, New Mexico. She became a support group leader about 7 years ago, which was a year after her diagnosis. She has a group that numbers 125 plus, and about 20 to 40 get together when they do meet. They have been virtual, but they're going live in June, and they're setting up at a Holiday Inn Express, which I thought was pretty creative because that facility will set up the room and provide coffee. And I'm like, okay, now I've got an idea for where we can go when we go live. She has a board, but is under PMDA as well, which I found fascinating and want to talk to her a little bit more about that later. They do run symposiums and do fundraisers in order to raise money. Her hope is that everyone's going to stay healthy and well as they transition into the new reality. And her fear is not finding somebody who could step in to take her place when she steps down.
Wow, thank you. Wonderful wrap up there, or yes, overview. So thank you, Nancy. Hi there, Sarah. She's just done about 4 or 5 hours, but we're in New Mexico together. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Nancy did great. Nancy is from San Diego. She is very busy. She has 4 support groups under her, Central County, and she is starting a 5th. And I think she said her members are anywhere from 2 to 5 in her support groups, 2 to 25, 2 to 75 people. Is that correct? I think she said. And right now they're waiting for word from California leadership to say when they can meet in person again. And I think this is like her fear and her hope, that she wants to establish a group that continues on after she doesn't. So her hope is that a group continues on, and I think the fear would be that the group doesn't continue on.
Got it. Yes, yes. Excellent. Thank you so much. And we will talk about succession planning a little bit next week.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, our next duo is going to be Catherine and Janice, it looks like, in Statesboro, and then Sheila in Tucson. Okay. Catherine and Janice, hello. I love your glittery background there.
Oh, are we starting? Okay.
If you'd like to go ahead and introduce Sheila as we are finding her to spotlight her.
Sure. So we partnered with Sheila. Well, my name's Catherine and this is Janice. We partnered with Sheila Smith. She is from Tucson, Arizona. Her husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2013. They've been a part of a lot of support groups, but they found the most useful support groups have been the smaller, intimate ones where you really get to feel the support instead of just like an educational kind of thing. They are thinking about starting their own support group in memory of one of the leaders of their other support group they really enjoyed. Her hope is that people feel empowered through the support group, and then her fear is that technology, and that maybe people don't feel so empowered, but I guess that's why we're here. So
Exactly. Wonderful. Thank you, Catherine. Sheila, we see that you are spotlighted, but we don't see your face. So I don't know if we can hear you. There you, okay, we see at least a picture now. Are you able to introduce Catherine and Janice?
I am, hopefully. Can you guys hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, well, I had video earlier, but after I cursed my luck with technology by saying that I was afraid of it, it came back to bite me when I moved to the other room to get a stronger signal. So sorry, it's not a very animated picture, but okay, so I'd like to introduce Catherine, who is the outreach coordinator for movement disability programs at St. Joseph's Hospital in Savannah, Georgia, one of my favorite cities in the entire world. And Janice, who is a person with Parkinson's. And they are, Catherine is currently, I think, providing facilitation, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, for multiple groups in her role in that position at St. Joseph's. And I think the hope was that you guys are going to start a new Parkinson's support group. Is that correct? I think.
yes, in a rural area outside Savannah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, in the Statesboro or near Statesboro, Georgia, yep. Right? Okay. And then their fear is that no one will show up. And I told them, I assured them that in my experience, I don't think that'll be a problem. Let's see. Oh, Janice said that she has many fears, which I can relate to. It's not like that she's done anything like this before, but that our fears help keep us grounded. And in my case, sometimes fear helps keep me motivated to try new things. So we shared that with each other.
Wonderful. You took the words out of my mouth. Fear can be motivating as well. Wonderful. Thanks all three of you for being here. And for those intros, we are going to move to room number 9, which was Carol Helming and Perry. Mr. Perry Heilman. There's Carol. And I'm sure, there you go. You're unmuted if you'd like to go ahead and get started by introducing Perry.
All right. I met Perry actually several years ago in one of the Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Alliance meetings. But he lives in Sun City and he's lived there for 60 plus years, or at least in the Phoenix area that long. And his groups, he has done one online group for Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Alliance that they used to have, was it on Friday, I think, or something, that went for quite a while until COVID, and then they kind of shut down. He's also done one with Encompass Health, and let's see, your biggest concern was about negativity in a group, that you like to keep things positive. And so that's what you like to do. And you are always concerned if someone is very negative in the group. And it was good to see you again, Perry.
Thank you, Carol. All right, Perry, your turn.
Introduce Carol, 40-year resident of Tucson. And being a diehard Sun Devil fan, I had to say that's a lot of football games. And Carol says, I've got the t-shirts to prove it. So she's a fan. Carol had a support group at the Fountains Assisted Living Home in Tucson. Her husband is also there, I guess, in memory care. And the group fell apart due to COVID. So they tried to go virtual, not a whole lot of show up, but now they're forming an exercise group, which is in person, which I think is really cool. And they're including anyone that wants to show up and join in, which I think is really cool. Her biggest fear is she's been a co-leader, and the leader of the group's husband died. So when they reconvene on a regular basis live, she is a little bit worried that she would like to have a co-leader to kind of help her, but she's got the personality, I think, that she'll fly with it. So
excellent. Thank you so much, Barry. Lovely to have you both join us. I just wanted to mention we're right at the top of the hour. We still have 5 groups that we'd like to introduce. I wanted to ask if anyone needs to go, and then we can prioritize those couples first. So if that's the case with anyone, let us know and we can put you earlier in the docket here. Otherwise, we're going to continue on with room number 10, which is Dave and Roger. Dave in Indiana, Pennsylvania, and then Roger in Rossville. There's Dave. Hi there.
Hi.
Would you like to go ahead and get started and introduce Roger?
Roger, I've heard before and hadn't met him personally, but Roger is about, I guess, maybe an hour or so north of Indianapolis and belongs to a whole bunch of groups, support groups, maybe 5, 7, maybe more, I don't know. And I'm not sure, but he's the second and third man in several of the groups. He's not really the leader or the, and I guess any one of them. And he's been working with Parkinson's for a number of years. He had a stroke a while back, and he's recovering from the stroke. So he's learning to walk. He's learning he's getting the motion back in his hands. He can do things now that he wasn't able to do after the stroke. So he has the stroke just exacerbates the Parkinson's and both together. He's working hard to get over them. His goal is to be able to walk without a walker eventually, and he's doing better all the time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. All right, Roger, your turn to introduce Dave.
Okay, Dave is from Indiana, Pennsylvania. He started out in Western Pennsylvania Parkinson's group. And 4 or 5 years, they got a new group closer to Indiana, Pennsylvania. His biggest fear is he is coming out for heart surgery to take care of AFib. That he won't be able to do what he has been. So I got to share with him. I will pray for him. I will ask the group to pray for his upcoming heart surgery. He is a fellow support group cheerleader.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, we will wish you well, Dave, with that. And we will be talking about not just succession planning, but also building infrastructure and how to get help from other group members when you need to step out for a little bit and take care of yourself. So, okay, so Judy, I see you have to jump off for another meeting. It looks like she might have had to go. Okay, but she already introduced herself, so I think we're good. And Kyoko, the same thing. Thank you for coming. See you next week. We will move to Dave O, and Kai in Hawaii. I see Kai is already unmuted, so if you would like to begin.
Sure. I had the pleasure of talking to Dave. Dave is in Mission Viejo in Southern California. He's been a support group leader for 5 years, but has been involved for many, many other years. He's a person with PD for 22 years and is a big advocate. I found out he's also an ambassador for PMD Alliance, which is fantastic. And his group has grown from 10 to 110 people, which is phenomenal. One of his fears is that the online support groups have becoming more speaker heavy and less one-to-one speaking. And his hope is that he is able to pass on all his knowledge and what he's learned to the successors of the groups that come forward. And it was a pleasure talking to him.
Excellent. Thank you, Kai. And Dave, yes, we are very familiar with Dave and so happy to have you on this national workshop with us and participate. Would you like to introduce Kai?
Yeah, I had likewise had a very nice conversation with Kai, very pleasant woman. She volunteers for several groups in the Hawaii area, to try and get them going. They're typically small groups of 5 to 10 people, and they're typically older people. And one of her hopes is to, and she's been doing this for 2 years now. And one of her hopes is to learn some things to make the meetings grow in size and keep them interesting, especially for the young onset group, which is she recognizes the shortage of young onset group, and we also talked about the shortage of doctors in her area, especially movement disorder specialists, and that's a problem because it's hard to keep them there. So
Out in Hawaii. Huh, wow.
but I didn't ask her fears, but I figure anybody who can surf those waves in Hawaii can't have any fears.
Fearless. That's right. Wow. Very cool that you two were hooked up with the young onset as a similarity for you. So thank you both. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to move to Judd and Judy. I didn't do that on purpose. All right, Judy, would you like to start by introducing Judd?
Yes, I'd like to. Judd is from Albany, New York. He has been a leader for several years. He wasn't for sure how long, maybe up to 5 years. He said there's 400 on their mailing list and 30 to 50 were attending in person, and now it's closer to 30 on Zoom. His group is for Parkinson's in general. It's a general Parkinson's support group. And his primary fear is, and Judd has Parkinson's. So I think he said 9 years. And he feels that he'll have to step down at some point. And one of his fears is that it's hard to let go and that he needs to have a succession plan to keep the group going. And actually his hope is also that the group will keep going.
Got it.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Judy. All right, Judd, your turn.
I'd like to introduce Judy from Georgetown, Texas. I've never been to Texas. I think it must be nice there. She is a leader of a subgroup of a very large group. The subgroup just is for people with DBS. She got involved in that group because her husband has Parkinson's and had DBS quite a number of years ago. She has a mantra, which I wrote down, except I can't type as fast as people can talk. So, but it was ask questions, make friends, and some other thing. So you fill in your own. Take risks. I don't know. And her hope is that the group helps, run itself a little bit more. And fear is also succession planning, which I think we both share.
Got it. Thank you. Yes, I think you're both in the right place. We will be discussing those things. And Judy, what was your mantra, the 3-part mantra?
Just a minute. Ask questions, seek answers, make friends.
Seek answers, make friends. Got it. Lovely. It's a good one. All righty. Thank you both. We're moving to Candace in Springfield and Mary in Waverly. You made it, Mary. Would you like to start?
Sure. I met with Candace. She's in Springfield, Illinois. She's been diagnosed with Parkinson's for about 9 years and been the leader of her support group for about 2 years. They had been meeting monthly prior to COVID. And then when COVID started, they went online and have been meeting weekly. So that's been good to get people to bond together and everything. She kind of, I think her group evolved out of some of her exercise groups that she's a part of. And since she has a background in social work, she kind of became the leader of it. And her hope is to find a good location to meet once they're starting to meet together. They did have one meeting with real 3-dimensional bodies in it on her screen porch recently. So hopefully they'll be able to find a good place to meet in the future.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Mary.
Candace. Yeah.
This is Mary. She lives in Waverly, Iowa, and she's a speech pathologist working with the medical system there. And she has helped with a self-help with a support group for 10 years, last 5 being more the leader than just the helper. They are able to meet at the hospital post-COVID. And they've done some Google Meets meetings because that's what the hospital system has. And but they'll be able to get back to their own club space, it sounds like. And her fear is that she's meeting everybody's needs, which I would think, given her demeanor and the numbers involved, that she probably is.
Absolutely, right. So sometimes we're just here for reassurance and support for each other, right? And that we are doing the very best we can and you know, helping lots of people in important ways. So thank you both. Lovely to have you. And then we have one more group, Irene in Sacramento and Richard in Santa Fe. He's very close to me, just over in Lamy, I think outside of Santa Fe. So nice to see you, Richard. And hi, Irene.
Hi.
Would you like to begin, Irene?
Sure. I got to speak to Richard today. He's from Santa Fe, New Mexico, so they have their meetings there. That group has been around for 5 to 6 years, but he was diagnosed 4 years ago. He says he's not the leader, he's the assistant to the leader, so he helps out, and I think the leader's name is Karen. Right now they're meeting weekly, which is really aggressive, I think. And so they have a lot of general meetings where it's just discussion and, you know, seeing each other and connecting that way. I think that was it.
That's great. Thank you, Irene. And Richard.
So I get to bring up the tail, do I?
You do.
All right.
Last but not least.
Well, great. It's a pleasure to introduce Irene from Sacramento, California. She leads a mixed group. She's been doing it for about 2.5 years. She facilitates that group, and her biggest fear is succession planning. How is she going to get this to continue if something should happen to her, because it is a very small group that she's leading so far. And I think the hope is that it'll become much bigger and much more vibrant, especially after we get past this COVID issue. So
wonderful. Excellent. Thank you both. Excellent. We are going to take your spotlights off. If you would like to click on that gallery view, just so we can see everyone as we say goodbye. I had a couple of other slides regarding next week, but this is all information you've already received. It's the agenda for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Each day is different content. It's the same time and same place, but they're 2.5-hour sessions instead of 1.5 hours. So it's a lot of meeting, but we hope you can make all of it. We do not record the workshop itself. And so it's important that you do come if you're going to get the content for that. And just make sure to sign that NSYNC support group leader agreement. I sent you a little link for that. And there's a place where you can just hit a checkbox and say, yes, I've read this. I've read the expectations for both PMD Alliance and yourselves as support group leaders. There's a survey that we'd love you to take in advance. And then finally, to please print that PDF, which is just an excerpt of the resource guide that you can have in your hands, because looking on the screen, sometimes the type is so small, you won't be able to read it. So it's nice to have that in front of you, and you'll be able to write in it like a workbook. Okay, so unless anyone has any additional questions, it was so wonderful to meet you all. Great to hear the variety. And yes, I think it's going to be a very rich discussion next week. And I think, let's see, will the next 3 trainings be recorded? We do not record The training's next week. Only today is recorded for those who may have missed the orientation, but still want to attend next week in person. I think that might be it. Okay, everyone, thank you. Great job today on those intros. We did it, and we'll see you in a week. Let me know if you have any questions between now and then. Take care.
Thank you all.